Hey there and welcome to Up Next. In today's video, we're going to be looking at subtle things you missed in Marvel movies. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is huge, so there are ample opportunities for Easter eggs to be hidden within the movies. You've probably noticed a few for yourself, but I guarantee you that there is at least one secret in this video that you didn't know about. Most Easter eggs within Marvel movies are hidden pretty well after all, so I find it very hard to believe that you've seen every single one of them. But let's just cut the chit-chat and get to the video, shall we? Number 1. Invincible Iron Man theme song. The first Iron Man movie that came out was in 2008, and it helped the MCU to get to where it is today. Iron Man is a household name, so it's no secret that fans were very excited to see their favorite comic book hero come to the big screen. During this movie, Rhodey gets a call from Tony Stark and his ringtone is very interesting. It turns out that this original Iron Man movie included a very cool callback to the Invincible Iron Man cartoon from 1966, because Rhodey's ringtone is the theme song from that series.
Tony Stark makes you feel he's a cool exec with a heart of steel.
You can hear this jingle throughout the film at very different points, like for example at the beginning of the film outside of the casino. Number 2. The Tesseract was introduced earlier than we thought. Iron Man 2 is considered widely as one of the lesser films in the MCU, and that's because of the film having trouble finding balance within the central story and the studio setup. There are many references within this film though that make it great, and one of those is a shout out to the Tesseract. An Easter egg that you probably missed is during a very important part of Iron Man 2, where we see Tony sat down watching an old film reel about his father while he's reading through a notebook. If you pay close attention, you'll see there is a sketch of the Tesseract within it. The Tesseract becomes a very important part of the MCU during Captain America, the First Avenger. And it's also quite important within the Avengers as well. But who knew that we actually got a glimpse of it during Iron Man 2? Number 3. A reference to Zola's comic book character. In Captain America the First Avenger, we are introduced to Dr. Arnim Zola for the first time, which is totally normal, but the way that he was introduced is pretty interesting. You can see him through some kind of lens and his face is distorted. This is a reference to him in the comics. His mind inhabited a robot body and his face was displayed on the robot's torso through a screen, and his introduction to this film is referencing this. Number 4. The Vision Easter egg. When Tony develops his AI Jarvis into Vision during the Avengers Age of Ultron, fans were very excited. However, this technically wasn't the first time that he was referenced, because in Iron Man 3, we get a subtle Easter egg on his part. There's a scene where we see Tony, Pepper, and Maya in Tony's house discussing a giant stuffed bunny in the living room, and if you pay close attention, you will see that there is a stocking hung above the fireplace with the name Jarvis on it. This Easter egg is very awesome, but the fact that the stocking included the colors red, green, and yellow makes it even better, because those are the same colors as Vision. Number 5. The Mandarin is a Liverpool fan? In Iron Man 3, we get a hilarious scene where Tony discovers that the Mandarin is actually just an actor named Trevor Slattery. And after this, we see the actor watching a football game between Liverpool and Chelsea. It's implied that Slattery is a Liverpool fan because he cheers after Daniel Agger scores a goal and makes the score 3-0.
Tony, I swear to God, I'm gonna blow his face off.
Although this is a very cool Easter egg, the film messed up the timeline a little bit because this match between the two clubs took place on May 8th, 2012, and Iron Man 3 was set around Christmas time. Number 6. Why does Bucky Barnes keep falling into water? If you have a keen eye and you pay attention to small details, you probably would have noticed that throughout all the Captain America movies, Bucky Barnes somehow finds himself falling into water. This isn't just a coincidence, and it actually has a meaning behind it. It turns out that each time he does this, it's representing a significant change for his character. In the first Avengers, Bucky falls into a river to his apparent death, which we later learn signals his transformation into an assassin. During the Winter Soldier, Bucky falls into the Potomac and ends up rescuing Steve Rogers, which marks the beginning of his recovery from memory loss since being brainwashed. And last but not least, during Civil War, we see Bucky fall into a river, this time in Germany, and he becomes aware that he is brainwashed. Number 7. Stallone's character explain. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, we get some pretty great cameos, one of them being Sylvester Stallone's, as he plays the Ravager Stakar. Most people probably wouldn't realize this, especially if they didn't read the comics, but Stallone's character is better known as the hero Starhawk from the comic books, and he was once a part of a different Guardians of the Galaxy team. He was the founder of the Guardians of the Galaxy in the 31st century, and the lineup included Major Victory, Martin X, Charlie 27, and Yondu Udanta. Number 8. Ego isn't the only Celestial. During Guardians of the Galaxy, we are introduced to Ego, who we find out is Peter Quill's father, and at one point he points out that he is a powerful being known as a Celestial. However, he isn't the only Celestial that we see within the MCU. In the first Guardians of the Galaxy, when the Collector is explaining the history of the Infinity Stones, we see a giant being wielding the Purple Power Stone. This was Isan the Searcher, who is Peter Quill's grandfather within the comics. Number 9. Frog Thor. In Thor Ragnarok, right at the beginning, we see the God of Thunder talking to a skeleton, as he recounts several mishaps that happened to him over the years, one of which included the time where he was turned into a frog. Unfortunately, we don't get to see this happen within the MCU, but this is likely a callback to the time when Loki turned his brother into a frog during Walter Simonson's run on the Thor comics. Number 10. Murder by Mjolnir. And last but not least, in Ragnarok, we witness a pretty bad theater performance, and afterward, Thor easily recognizes his brother through his disguise and plays a twisted version of chicken with his hammer in order to get Loki to tell the truth. Thor tells Loki that nothing will stop his hammer from returning to his hand, and places his brother's head right in Mjolnir's path, which of course would mean Loki's head would be obliterated if he didn't move. Loki yields, and this is a reference to a scene in Walt Simonson's run on the Thor comics. In issue number 359, we see something like this play out as Thor uses the same tactic to break himself free of one of Loki's spells. But that's all for today though. What'd you think of today's video? Let us know in the comments below. But with that being said, this is the end of the video, so I'll see you guys in the next one.